I kind of wonder if Spranky's kind of keeping people from coming. But everybody, welcome to Bow of the Father. We are here live in the St. Anne Rectory dining room. So this is an open discussion. So if anyone has any questions, either they can join us on the Google Meet, which is in the description, or you can write your questions in the chat. We have someone joining us live. So the floor is open. So whoever wants to open up, feel free.
I got a question. Does somebody online have a question?
No, it's like someone just dropped out. So they were watching, they dropped out. That's fine. Yeah.
All right. So I got maybe two questions about Mass. I'll see. I hope I can remember the second one after asking the first.
Okay. All right.
It was the first time I noticed you doing a pause as you're holding your hands up and reading out of the book, and you're consecrating the host.
Mm-hmm.
You said, "Remember, Lord." There's a slight pause, or there was always a pause. And I the first time I noticed it was at the Easter Vigil last year. And when you stop, your hands are up and you're looking right at the book and you are purposely taking a moment.
Okay.
And I don't know if the last word was, and remember God, or remember Lord. And
was it your servants?
Yes, maybe.
Okay. So in the first Eucharistic prayer, in the very beginning, there's two pauses actually called out in the rite for the first Eucharistic prayer, called the Roman Canon. This is the most historic Eucharistic prayer we've had. It kind of dates back all the way to the Gregorian Mass, right? So this is like where you also sometimes hear the names of the saints and the martyrs that are spelled out, right? So the very beginning, after you get through, if you get to the beginning, you kind of pray for the Pope and you pray for the bishop. Then remember, Lord, your servants, and then there's a pause.
Yes.
So because it calls out for that in the book.
The first time I noticed that was at the Easter Vigil last year. I've never noticed that.
Right. Yeah. So that the reason is we're actually, because if we're reading in context, what it's saying is, remember, Lord, your servants, those who can't be here, right? So or for someone who maybe was willingly not be here. So
so the pause is absolutely proper,
right?
For what you're saying.
Exactly right. So the idea there is that the faithful are kind of bringing up the names of people that whether maybe they're homebound, maybe they've fallen away from the faith, maybe they're just not there for whatever reason, and so we're offering them up in that point in the Mass and the Eucharistic prayer. Now, it's funny, though, because I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Quiet Man. Okay, The Quiet Man is today might be a rather controversial movie, especially because of the end scene. But The Quiet Man is a movie from the 50s. It stars John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. So John Wayne, he actually he plays this boxer who went to the United States, but he's from Ireland originally. He and his father died, and his mother brought him to the United States when he was very young. And so he goes back to Ireland to the town of Innisfree to live his rest of his life. There's some controversy of him being a boxer. Something happened in the ring. He left the ring, and then he goes back to Ireland. And he's trying to court Maureen O'Hara's character, who is a neighbor. And in it, the Maureen O'Hara's brother is kind of this gruff, really very, a stereotypical Irish, want to fight and everything, right? And so he doesn't take a liking to John Wayne's character because John Wayne is buying a piece of his own home heritage land, but that was the land between this brother's land and the woman that he's kind of attracted to wants to kind of court. So it's kind of like crossing.
Kind of a thorn.
So it's kind of whatever. So, so because of this dispute, there's this bad blood, and then when John Wayne starts to court his sister, there's kind of a bigger issue, and so there's this character named Father Flanagan, who's the parish priest, and and so there's this altercation, and John Wayne says, "Let's just shake, let's just call and then the characters will know, and then this Father Flanagan says, "You'll take his hand, I'll read your mass read your name for the Mass on Sunday." That's what he's talking about there in the prayer. I'm gonna hey. Now, obviously, the positive aspect of that is I'm gonna offer you up to God in that moment. But the purpose of that also is kind of raises because even in the rite, it has the letter N, so the priest can actually say names at that point. So remember Lord, your servants, John, Ken, Judy. you can start naming names in that part of the mass. Like the
Right.
priest can actually physically say it. Now, the idea there is it's a prayerful state. You're offering these people prayerfully, but the way he intended it was he's going to start people talking about it.
Right.
So it's kind of a cute thing, kind of a fun thing. Then it's funny because the guy retorts like, "I'll join the Church of Ireland first," and the priest responds as if they'll have you. So it's a good movie. I like that movie. I'm sorry, it's a beautiful movie. It's actually, as an Irishman, I tend to watch that every St. Patrick's Day. That's kind of tradition in our family, and yeah. But there's fight scene, pretty amazing, and there's probably a day we considered spousal abuse, which is kind of controversial,
right?
But at the time, I mean, it was like that's kind of what happened, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's rather interesting. But yeah, that's why the pause, because it calls for that moment to pause, and then if the priest has any names in their mind, they can bring that up. There's another one after the consecration, which says, those who go gone before us marked with the sign of faith. And same, you can actually add names then, right? Typically, also you could also add, like if you're having that mass said for a funeral, you could add the name of the deceased. So there's those pauses that are there to actually offer up names and people for those who are living in the beginning, those who have died after the consecration.
Okay, so now I know. Remember, Lord, your servants.
Yeah.
And now I know what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And then it said that and all gather before you. So basically, at that point, it's like offering everybody up in the mass, right? Those that are there, and those that are not there. And then we go into then we actually say like kind of litany of saints, and then
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what that part of the mass is for.
Okay.
Because you notice what I do is I do this and I close my hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's the pause, and then you open them again, and then you're right. Remember, Lord, your servants.
You do.
And those gather for you, right? And then, right. So,
okay,
yeah. So,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now I know. Thank
Okay,
you.
there you go.
Thank
Do you have a second question?
Let me see if I can remember it. I just want to make sure, because I thought when we stand you said you like, or is it's supposed to be? Is it your preference, or is that because if I'm at a different church, when the priest washes his hands, people should then. We shouldn't have to wait for you to come to the altar and then hold your hands up.
Let's.
How does it go?
Then we have the gift of the internet. So this all kind of happened when there was the retranslation in 2011. So before that, if you might recall, I think it was after when the priest said, pray, brothers and sisters, right? That my sacrifice and yours. That's when everyone after he said that, everyone would stand up, right? Yes. Now there was a change in that, and I know in our parish, it was kind of promoted that you would stand up while the priest was actually having his hands washed. So that's a great question, because even in the seminary, everyone did it differently. And so I don't know if that was your preference of our parish priests, and then that just got instilled in us. But but to your point, it should be rather uniform, right? So what I have here is the general instruction of the Roman Missal, also called the Germ. So when it goes to structure of the Mass, let's see here. Parts of the Mass, entrance, liturgy of the Word. Let's go to the preparation of the gifts, the liturgy of the Eucharist. So in it, here we have we become Christ's body and blood, brought to the altar, other gifts, special bringing gifts accompanied. So let's talk about the, prayer for offerings. The priest then washes hands at the side of the altar, a rite that is expression of his desire for interior purification. True. It doesn't, though, say in this particular portion when to stand. It just kind of gives the more, this is a little more just in general. So let me see if it has like postures.
While you're looking, can I ask, is this a weeds thing? There's no right or wrong. There's no real.
Well,
I wouldn't be.
And that's why I'm looking in the German, because that would be kind of the defining.
Yeah.
Now, it also in the Missal it'll have rubric on there too. But I don't recall even in the missal if it actually says
I don't see it.
what would actually when they actually stand for that part. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Let's see if they actually you have any more council masses, mass in which only one minister participates. Okay, some general norms: veneration of the altar, genuflection, bows, and sensation, purification, communion under both kinds. Yeah, I don't really see anything here that would really kind of indicate sacred vestments, other things done for use, choice of the mass texts, mass of various circumstances, adaptation of the competence. No, this might be the word is the adaptations. Okay, gestures and postures of the faithful. That's number 43. Let's see what it has in there. Let's see if I can find it. So, yeah, I mean, so in other words, it may not actually be specified. And that's rather interesting because, you would think there'd be some uniformity, but it doesn't look like there actually is. They should stand from the beginning of the entrance chant. Oh, here we go. Movements and posture. They should stand from the beginning of the entrance chant, while the priest approaches the altar, until the end of the collect. Before the Alleluia, chant before the gospel, while the gospel itself is proclaimed during the profession of faith. So during the profession of faith and the prayers of the faithful. From the invitation, oratory, pray, brothers and sisters. Okay. So this says, from the invitation, oratory, which is pray, brothers and sisters. That's the invitation. Before the prayers over the offerings till the end of Mass, except the places in the Qibla, which will be like when you kneel. So this is saying, pray, brothers and sisters, is when you stand. So when the priest starts that motion, that prayer, the faithful stand until basically all the way through to the Eucharistic prayer. Then they'll kneel and they'll stand again, right?
Okay.
So I guess, though, the indicator that would be the cleansing of the hands, because it says from the invitation. So when is that? So is that before that? Is that while the priest is saying those words? So I guess if the priest is cleansing his hands right before he says that, people can stand up and then orate fratres, or pray, brothers and sisters, at my sacrifice and yours. That's what the germ says.
So personally, and this is just me, not everybody's me.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay. So the priest, you, the rabbi, the teacher, right? If I'm a student and
Right.
we're all worshiping, and I know I'm going to be standing up pretty soon, am I going to wait for you to say, "Come over here," and then you're like, "Hey, you guys want to stand up now?" Or right, like, because like, you shouldn't have to wait for me. I know.
Right. Well, and so I think that's why the point when this happened in 2011, we were told when the priest washes his hands, you guys stand, because he's going to say right away after that,
it's coming.
pray, brothers and sisters, right?
Right.
Sure. So I guess that's the point. But this is just saying from that invitation. So that's a little vague because, okay, you mean like when the priest starts that invitation? Before,
verbally, or his actions, or his
right,
okay,
right. So this is saying the word. So in other words,
the
priest says he'll have an invitation, orate fratres, pray, brothers and sisters, acceptably sacrificium, my sacrifice and yours will be acceptable to God, the Almighty Father. That's the invitation. So it's saying from that invitation, okay, so pray, brothers and sisters.
You're right. Okay,
before that happens, I mean, so it's like it's kind of vague in that approach. But I think to your point, you're saying, well, if I know it's coming and the priest is now done, he dried his hands, here it comes, why don't we just stand up then?
Well, why do I make you wait on me? That's what I'm doing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I won't. I mean, so here's the thing, right? I mean, it's not like that's what I'm saying. It's not like the priest's gonna be like, wait there, like, okay, Rate front, I mean, it's not like the priest's gonna be like, pray, brothers, hey,
come on,
well, what's going on, right? Let's go, one page. So I mean, I think in general most priests are just gonna go,
Yeah.
whether people are standing or not. But if you're going by like what's the letter of the law, well, this is saying from the invitation, orate fra, so pray brothers and sisters, or pray brethren. That's when everyone stands.
Awesome. Okay.
The missal might actually give more distinction. I don't know if it will or won't. I mean, if the germ already kind of says it, I don't think the germ will give more clear. I'm sorry, the Roman missal will give more clarification. But I who knows? Who knows? I can pull up here and see what it says.
How does a person who, okay, so I've been Catholic so many years, but never did I learn like we're doing right now. When do we stand? When do we sit? And when I started becoming serious with my faith and attending church, I got a cheat sheet off the internet.
Yeah,
that was really easy to follow. However, I know on Tuesdays when on Tuesdays when it's a really quiet mass and the more seasoned folks are there.
Yeah.
There's a chance, like Nick will say a prayer like right before communion.
Oh, sure.
And at the beginning of the mass, they do a little bit of different with you. And where would that be written? And
that'd also be in the germ. So when you're talking, what you're talking about there is what they call the antiphons. So the very beginning, if there's no hymn, right, you would then after the people have gathered, the entrance chant begins. As the priest enters with the deacon and ministers, the purpose of the chant is to open the celebration, foster unity of those who have been gathered, introduce the thoughts of the mystery of the liturgical season or festivity, and accompany procession of the priests and ministers. The singing at this time is done either alternatively by the choir and the people, or in a similar way by the cantor and the people, or entirely by the people, or by the choir alone. In the Diocese of the United States of America, there are 4 options for the entrance chant: the antiphon from the Roman Missal, or the psalm from the Roman Gradual, as that music there, another music setting, the seasonal antiphon and psalm of the simple Gradual, a song from another collection of psalms and antiphons, approved by the USCCB or the diocesan bishop, including psalms arranged in responsorial metrical forms, a suitable liturgical song similarly approved by the conference. So basically what it's saying is, if there's no singing at the entrance, the antiphon and the missal is recited, either by the faithful or by some of them, or by a lector, otherwise they're recited by the priest himself, who may even adapt his introductory explanation. So what it's saying is, if you sing, sing. But if you don't sing, the antiphon should be said by either the priest or somebody. So Nick usually does it.
It kind of gets things together, warmed
Correct.
up. And
Right.
It's like tapping up the symphony.
So it's kind of basically the indicator, like, hey, we're starting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. So even it's because the beginning is often asked, kind of maybe misunderstood. When does the mass actually begin?
When I hear those bells.
Okay. What do you mean for Eucharistic prayer?
Okay, all
right. Yeah.
Well, everybody stands up and you come in.
Technically, no. So technically, the mass begins at the procession. What indicates the procession? Well, the song, a hymn, or an antiphon is said.
Oh, okay. Well,
right?
Yeah.
That is the beginning of the mass. So the antiphon is said, a song is sung. There's a procession into the sanctuary by the ministers, which is what we do at every mass, right? And that's what indicates the beginning. And that actually goes back because, like, that's really emphasized really, really well at the beginning of Holy Week when we have Palm Sunday. Because if everyone's going to Palm Sunday Mass, they recognize there's something different that happens in the beginning that doesn't happen at any other mass. Namely, we process in with palms. We have a gospel reading before the procession happens, because emphasizing this importance of the king is entering his kingdom, his sanctuary, his castle. That's represented by the person of the priest primarily, but that procession is the beginning of this liturgy, right? So the procession is actually a rite, almost like a rite in itself. So there's a lot of music directors debate this, but we were taught in seminary that, like, if you're singing a hymn then for the entrance, the hymn should continue until it's done. So in other words, when I get to my chair, we don't have to stop the hymn.
So we'll
the
just
chant.
do 2 verses and then stop.
Right. Yeah.
We don't do it on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like technically, that's a rite in itself. So the whole idea there is that we're recognizing this entrance of the King, and we're celebrating that. And there's a joyous hymn, or there's a psalm of praise given, or the antiphon is just used, right? But if the priest gets to a chair before the antiphon is done, well, you don't stop the antiphon, right? In the same way, if there's a song being sung and the priest gets to a chair, we don't stop the song, right? So there are, though, other portions where the song should be halted. For instance, it even says in here, when you get to the offertory, let me pull it up here. At the offertory, there can be a song proclaimed or a hymn or something like that, right? So liturgy of the Eucharist, at the Last Supper, Christ instituted, at the preparation of the gifts, the bread and the wine with water brought, the Eucharist prayer, thanksgiving. At the beginning of the liturgy of the Eucharist, the gifts which will become Christ's body and blood are brought to the altar. First altar's table is the center of the whole liturgy. Corporal purification talks about the vessels. The offerings are brought forth. It is praiseworthy for the bread and wine to be presented by the faithful. They are then accepted by an appropriate place by the priest or the deacon or the altar. Money or gifts being brought up for the church, brought by the faithful. The procession bringing the gifts accompanied by the offertory chant, which continues at least until the gifts have been placed on the altar. The norms on the matter of singing are the same as for the entrance chant. Singing may always accompany the rite at the offertory, even when there is no procession with the gifts. So what it's saying is the song just should accompany the actions that are going on. But that's different than the entrance, because the entrance is like we're continuing that, right?
Right. Like
in a way.
Show,
but in a way.
We want to recognize.
Exactly right.
We want to recognize.
Whereas in the offertory, once the offertory is brought forward, the offertory is over. You brought it forward.
Right.
Good. Right. Done. So there is a little distinction between those two. In the same way, even during let's say communion, there can be a communion song given.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And that can even go a little bit longer after, when people can kind of meditate on the prayer or meditate on the song and kind of also reflect on who they just received and all that good stuff. So great. But also the important thing is silence. Like even within the germ, it also says, there are times for silence, like after the homily. That's a good time for silence. Even before and after the readings are read is a good time for silence. After communion, after the final, or the post-communal hymn, silence is something that should be upheld. That's kind of spelled out here in the germ, right? So, I think sometimes, though, for the sake of brevity, or sometimes because maybe it's not being recognized. Like I have this, for the school masses, I always have this kind of ongoing, not feud, but kind of discussion with the minister, because oftentimes the offertory hymn will go past the actions. And so for me, I'm just standing there, but it's like, what should be done? Now, to be fair, I don't think they can always see me from where they are. So I understand that. That's okay. Fine. You do the best you can. But in general, that's kind of how it's supposed to work. And so same with communion. If there's no song or chant, then the communal chant would be done. Mm-hmm. Right. So it even says it out here too. Yeah. Yeah.
Neat. Cool.
Yeah. Pretty good. Questions, comments, concerns, heresies. Okay. Anyone? I think we have one person watching online. So if anyone has any other questions, they can type them in, or you can also put them in the comment section. I think after we're done, I haven't got anyone ever do that before, but you never know. So otherwise, I guess we can call it a night. And thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. Well, Bother the Father next week, same time, same place. So you again, join us live or join us online. Then I think we have another week that's still September. So that's right. So we'll have two more weeks of Bother the Father, and then October, I think the 7th is the next Friends, Food, and Faith. So that's Our Lady of the Rosary. Maybe we can have a discussion about the Rosary, like why we have the Rosary or why we do things with the Rosary. Maybe we can do that. That sounds like maybe an idea. Or if there's any other ideas, please let me know either through the comments or email me. Great. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you later.
Cool.